Donald Trump has he somehow managed to do the impossible. He's finally pissed off his own damn cult in this like pathetic attempt to bury the Jeffrey Epstein story for good. The power obsessed character has instead caused this just massive political disaster right in the middle of MAGA land.
Mr. President, when it comes to this Epstein stuff, we have questions, and we've waited patiently and patiently and patiently. We're not buying what you're selling. We watched the FBI pull out all these things from Epstein Island. We know that Ghislaine Maxwell's in prison right now for trafficking. You guys led us along in this administration all these years talking about Epstein, including yourself. How could you say this today in your press conference, sir? With much due respect, as a person that went to January 6th to defend the country and the stolen election that was taken from you, sir, how can you sit there and say this?
I mean, for years, right? These people, they've been screaming from the rooftops about some secret Epstein client list, a conspiracy, that Trump himself was more than happy to stoke. Now he has the sheer gall to act like annoyed that anyone is even still talking about the dirtbag. And it came to a head in this absolutely, bonkers press conference moment where he was asked about it. Honestly, you have to see his reaction to believe the sheer narcissistic rage on display.
Mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former labor secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of his death?
Yeah, sure.
Could I just interrupt? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First,
Unbelievable? No. You gaslighting hypocrite. What's unbelievable is the coward sitting behind that desk pretending he wasn't the one promising answers for years. The hypocrisy is just, it's staggering. It really makes my head spin. This pathetic deflection is even more infuriating when you remember this buffoon explicitly promised to release the files. And look, this wasn't some vague notion, it was more than that. He looked right into a camera and said he'd do it, feeding red meat to his ravenous base. The most telling part for me was the immediate shift in his demeanor when he was originally asked about it. He went from being this decisive tough guy on declassifying JFK and 9/11 files to a stammering imbecile the second Epstein's name came up. But you don't have to take my word for it because, well, we have the bloody tape. Here's what Trump said about it. Let's play this clip, and you can watch the panic flicker in his eyes for yourself.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world.
Phony stuff? Hello? Suddenly this buffoon is concerned about affecting people's lives with phony information, which is a bit rich coming from the king of baseless conspiracies, right? He's not worried about phony stuff. He's terrified of the real stuff in those files, especially, since he called Epstein a terrific guy and wished Ghislaine Maxwell well. And, it wasn't even just the the orange character being slippery about it all. His own administration, I mean, his hand-picked bootlickers, they were out there on right-wing media gleefully promising that the truth was like just around the corner. His Attorney General, Pam Bondi, she was the lead puppet in this whole sordid affair. She went on TV and get this claimed. She had the Epstein files sitting right there on her desk, all because of a direct order from Trump himself. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's just so damn blatant. I'm going to play you the clip of the Attorney General making a promise, she and Trump, well, they clearly had no intention of keeping.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
A directive from President Trump, for God's sake. So now they want us to believe there's no list and nothing to see after his own AG, his top puppet, confirmed it was an active project ordered by the president. Bloody hell, the audacity of this entire disastrous administration is just off the charts. But she wasn't the only operator in this pit. The whole MAGA media machine was in on it. All these so-called truth tellers like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, they spent years building their entire brands and selling junk to their followers by screaming about the deep state hiding the Epstein secrets. It reminds me so much of the whole Stop the Steal grift. I remember watching these characters promise a kraken of evidence was coming that would change history, and it was always just 2 more weeks away, you know? As long as the donations kept rolling in, of course, the kraken never arrived, just like this mythical client list never will, because it was never about the truth. No, it was always about riling up the base for a loose cannon. And now that the tables have turned, these sycophants are just stuck. Here's a clip of these guys from back when they, I guess, thought this was their ticket to glory.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
The Ghislaine Maxwell Black Book. What names are in there, man? You understand how many powerful people probably want this thing to desperately go away? How many people were interconnected with this Epstein sex ring operation? I heard from a reporter once that there are tapes. A very well-respected reporter, many of you know, that there are a lot of tapes out there of a lot of people. I'm not ever going to let this story go because of what I heard from a source about Bill Clinton on a plane with Jeffrey Epstein. I talked about it yesterday. You can go check it out. I'm not letting it go ever.
Not ever going to let it go. That's bloody rich, isn't it? Especially now that the most powerful person who wants this to go away is the very same guy they work for. These people are shameless hypocrites, and their supposed principles, they just poof vanish the second they conflict with what dear leader wants. And here's the most beautiful part of this entire Schadenfreude-filled saga. The people who are most apoplectic about this, they're not his usual enemies. No, it's his own supporters, the true believers who are absolutely shrieking with rage. I've been scrolling through their social media feeds, and honestly, it is a goldmine of pure, uncut MAGA fury. Far-right cultists like Laura Loomer and even unhinged government officials like Marjorie Taylor Greene are openly savaging the administration for this betrayal. They spent years believing Trump was their knight in shining armor who would, expose the global elite. Here are a few quotes from the very people who are now realizing the call. Quote, Laura Loomer, please join me in calling for Blondie to resign. That's a good one. She changed Bondi to Blondie. It's like little MAGA cat fight. I'm all for them fighting. Okay. So, she continued with, how many more times is this woman going to get away with effing everything up before she is fired? What about her little black book? The 97-page book contains the names and contact details of almost 2,000 people, including world leaders, celebrities, and businessmen. No one believes there is not a client list. For those who don't know, that means they're losing faith in the entire ridiculous movement they dedicated their lives to. So, look, Trump breaking a promise. That's one thing. But what he did here was, he personally took a sledgehammer to one of the central conspiracy theories that held his whole personality cult together. So, with his own base in open revolt, the administration did what it always does. It panicked. They sent Pam Bondi back out to do some of the most pathetic damage control I have ever witnessed, trying to redefine words we all heard her say. This is a classic gaslighter tactic, and honestly, it's the only move these people have. They make a bold, explicit promise, get caught in the lie, and then just insist the words that came out of their own mouths meant something else entirely. It is profoundly insulting to anyone with a functioning memory. This is what Bondi said to try and weasel her way out of her own promise.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file, along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by
meaning the file. Oh, give me a freaking break. You were asked about a client list, and then you went on to promise that names and flight logs would be out tomorrow. This stupid, transparent lie just makes the entire administration look more guilty and, frankly, hopelessly incompetent. At the end of the day, all of this chaos, this pathetic backtracking and MAGA infighting, it all leads back to one place. It stems directly from Donald Trump, the coward in chief, having a complete meltdown when a reporter asked him a simple, legitimate question. It forces everyone, including his most brainwashed cultists, to ask the one question that truly matters. I'm sitting here thinking, why are you so damn nervous about this, Donald? What do you know that has you more offended by a reporter's question than by the actual monstrous crimes Epstein committed? This man built his entire political identity on being the one brave outsider who would finally expose the corrupt swamp. But with this, historic fumble, he's basically proven to his own followers, look, he's not here to drain the swamp. It seems like he's desperately trying to cover its slimiest, most disgusting tracks. Trump. He stoked this conspiracy fire for years to keep his base loyal, and now he's shocked that they're refusing to let it go on his command. He created this monster of distrust and paranoia, and now it's finally turning on its master. This was the biggest fumble of his administration because it revealed the truth. The grift is a lie, the promises are worthless, and the great anti-establishment hero is just another corrupt creep protecting his own. What a pathetic end for a movement built on nothing but rage and fantasy. So what do you all think? Is this the moment the MAGA faithful finally see the con for what it is? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. It's always a wild ride reading through those. If you appreciate someone, cutting through the political noise and calling out the hypocrisy, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss the next time these characters inevitably trip over their own lies. This show runs on your support, so thanks for watching. Until next time, stay angry. It means you're paying attention.